Hello and welcome back to the Contested Realm. My name's Jesse Muleman Marshall, and today we've got a really exciting final from GenCon 2024. This is the very final match of the 64-player tournament that took place at GenCon, which was a huge success for Sorcery this year. We had Chase, Simon and Drew on the booth, helping new players get to know the game, running through loads of product, and of course giving out several of those very special Spellslinger foil promos. Special shout out to Drew for both the player interview that's at the end of this video, which you'll be able to see the winner of the event chatting to Drew about their deck and about the match. In today's match, we've got Adam, also known as Zalem on Discord, who's playing Seer. Adam might be the record holder for the most number of games played during the Discord League across all the seasons, and he's going to be well known to many of you out there. For those of you who haven't encountered Adam, he's a highly skilled player and someone who's been playing Sorcery from the very beginning. On the Geomancer, opposing Adam, we've got Jake. Jake is a newer player who's picked up Sorcery more recently, and so this is going to be a clash of experience versus someone who's clearly very skilled but newer to the game in Jake, who's fought their way to the final of this 64-player tournament and is going to be taking on Adam. Of course, Adam was also the runner-up at GenCon 2023, so he's looking to go one better and take the crown this time. So we've got Jake on the top of the screen here and Adam on the bottom. Adam playing Seer and Jake playing Geomancer. So these are perhaps over the first 12 or so months of the Sorcery metagame, from when we played the first season of the league earlier on in 2023. These were two avatars that didn't see quite as much play in the competitive scene. You would have seen a lot more Death Speakers, Battle Mages, Elementalists and Enchantresses perhaps over that period. And indeed, the last season of Champions that we had for the league, we saw Zalem on Enchantress taking on Ira on the Death Speaker. But this time we've got Zalem or Adam playing the Seer, a very different build, and Jake on the Geomancer, which is one that hasn't seen as much competitive play until these more recent decks featuring Roots of Yggdrasil, because of course the Geomancer has a fantastic ability to recover from Roots of Yggdrasil being detonated, because it's able to get card advantage by playing sites onto the rubble that Roots of Yggdrasil generates. Zalem on the Seer here is choosing some mulligans and also playing a Roots of Yggdrasil build. So this is going to be a really interesting matchup where both players are looking to take advantage of Bedrock, which you're seeing here from Jake leading off, which is a site that can't be destroyed, so it persists through Roots of Yggdrasil. Take advantage of Bedrock and also the mana that you get on the turn that you detonate Roots to drop a big threat and then hope to ride that all the way to victory. We're seeing Adam leading off here with a Sinkhole on turn 1, which is one of the main threats that these decks use to detonate their own Roots. So we might see Adam at some point in the game playing a Roots of Yggdrasil adjacent or nearby that Sinkhole, then detonating the Sinkhole to destroy the Roots of Yggdrasil and destroy everything in the realm. So this is the Geomancer's card advantage early in the game coming into play here. Of course, Geomancer's ability allowing it to create a rubble nearby whenever it... create a rubble adjacent, I should say, whenever it plays an Earth site. And then the ability to play off the top of the Atlas, to tap to play off the top of the Atlas a site onto that rubble, means that the Geomancer effectively skips the need to draw and then play the site, gets to do all of that at once by playing off the top of the Atlas on top of the rubble. So really, over the first few turns of the game, the Geomancer's gaining quite a little bit of card advantage, and the Seer's going to have to overcome that with the card selection. So we saw a common sense there from Adam going and fetching an Amazon Warriors and a Land Surveyor into now a Pillar of Xeros on turn 3 for Jake, and Jake's going to now attack in with that Land Surveyor that was played last turn. Pillar of Xeros not getting many hits there on turn 3, I think 0 minions in the cemetery for now. But it's just another Earth site that's going to generate more rubble for Jake. Jake now playing out an Autumn Unicorn as a 3-drop, which is a really effective threat. Of course, Autumn Unicorn, a 4-power minion, presenting a really massive amount of damage to Adam if he's not able to deal with it over the next couple of turns. Adam's got his own Bedrockers there, of course, there as well underneath the Land Surveyor, which means that if there's a Roots detonation, at least Adam's not going to be going down to 0 sites in play.
Bedrock.
Mirror Realm copying a Bedrock, meaning that Adam's potentially going to be able to have 4 Bedrocks in play this game, the 3 Bedrocks being exceptional, plus that Mirror Realm, which in this matchup, you're thinking the Geomancer's going to be able to recover pretty well from roots, even if the Seer player pops it. So things like Mirror Realm to expand the number of bedrocks that Adam's got in play are going to be super important.
Take one.
Of course, another thing that's proving important here in these early exchanges, as Jake attacks in with the Autumn Unicorn and the Land Surveyor for 5, is that Jake's on the play and has the tempo. And being on the play here, ahead on mana, ahead on curve, and then curving into a second Autumn Unicorn after sinkholing Adam's sinkhole and depriving Adam of a sight is absolutely brutal. So Adam's gone down to 2 mana now, is facing down 2 Autumn Unicorns and that Land Surveyor, threatening a significant amount of damage. Now, one of the saving graces here for Adam is that if he doesn't play a sight onto site 14 there, which is where the rubble was created by Jake's sinkhole that was detonated, that second Autumn Unicorn is actually not going to be able to attack next turn because it's only adjacent to that rubble and to the Holy Ground, neither of which are places that Jake can attack.
Over there with it. Letting you get your sinkhole next to mine.
So Adam has played a Root Spider, which is disabling the first Autumn Unicorn that's played. And this Root Spider here is really going to slow Jake down, because when you have Root Spider and you have such a small number of sites in play yourself, it's one way that you can overcome that disadvantage of being slightly behind on mana. Because Root Spider now basically means that one of Adam's 3 sites, and the most central of those 3 sites, can't be chosen by Jake as a location to attack, because anything that enters that site is immediately going to be disabled. So that first Autumn Unicorn is already disabled. The second one, even if Jake had a way to blink it or something like that onto the bedrock, it wouldn't be able to attack that bedrock this turn. So the Land Surveyor off on space 12 has been able to attack. The second Land Surveyor came down, drawing Jake another site. Plenty of site card advantage here going on for Jake, but things slowing down with that Root Spider, and Adam now having a chance to stabilize. Adam playing out a Free City, which is another location that Jake's not going to be able to attack, because that Free City can actually defend itself. So Jake didn't actually move across the Autumn Unicorn the first turn, but now electing to move it across now that that Free City has been played, and Adam's elected not to develop onto the rubble on site 14, because Adam's effectively saying, if you leave your Autumn Unicorn there, I'm just going to ignore that side of the board. So Jake, fair enough, moves back across. And then Adam's got another defensive side here. So we can see this Seer deck, we've got Free City and 2 Gnome Hollows in play, all of which are sites that Jake can't enter and attack. And then we've got 2 Root Spiders sitting underneath the other 2 sites, both of which are bedrocks. So Jake's now looking at a board that it's pretty impossible for that Autumn Unicorn to actually profitably attack. So attacking onto the Free City is going to be able to defend that first attack. And then Jake's got a choice here of whether to attack in with the Foot Soldier. Jake does choose to attack in with the Foot Soldier, deal Adam 1 damage, taking him down to 11, even though the Free City is going to be able to effectively eat that Foot Soldier next turn by attacking it for free on Adam's turn. So we've got a Border Militia here, which is going to summon a bunch more Foot Soldier tokens and mean that even though that first Foot Soldier is getting eaten, there are going to be plenty more where that came from, which are going to be able to attack onto that Free City as well next turn. Jake's also now got 2 minions, the Land Surveyor and that Foot Soldier token, over on site 9, which are going to be able to attack into the Gnome Hollows, even though the Gnome Hollows has that restriction on keeping out larger minions. So the Border Militia really allowing Jake to spread out those threats. And of course, as predicted, Free City attacks that Foot Soldier that was sitting on top and just gets that free kill. Dangerous one here for Adam, playing out a River of Flame over to the right. Now that's really the first site on the board, other than the 2 that have Root Spiders under them, so they don't really count, that Jake's going to be able to attack freely. So if Jake plays a site off onto space 10, he's going to be able to attack onto that River of Flame relatively easily. Getting in with 2 here, and of course I should have mentioned, Adam infiltrated that Autumn Unicorn that's on top of the Free City, which is going to make things a little more difficult for Jake in attacking there. Otherwise, really, that Autumn Unicorn was going to be blanking the Free City every turn. And here's where that River of Flame, I mean, Adam really didn't have a choice. He had to put it somewhere, had to keep developing on sites. This is where that's going to prove potentially a bit of a liability, because Atlas Wanderers has swapped the 2 sites around so that the Gnome Hollows moves back and Jake's site moves up. allowing Jake to attack across onto the River of Flame from that side. And it also means that any future minions summoned there would also be able to do that. Now, Adam's got the great riposte here. He's able to just move the Root Spider across, disable the Atlas Wanderers and the Foot Soldier, and protect that River of Flame. But in doing so, he does open up that middle lane with the 2 Autumn Unicorns. So he moves the second Root Spider across and says, I'm going to give you site 12 where your Land Surveyor is. You can have that Land Surveyor back, but I'm now going to block up those 2 middle sites where your larger minions were. And then I'm going to deploy this Sandworm. It's going to be burrowed, ready to defend if I need it. So Adam doing an exceptional job here despite being behind on tempo early. And you can see here why Adam is an unflappable top tier player, because he was behind early. Jake had all of the tempo. Adam's in a matchup where his big threat in Roots of Yggdrasil is not really doing a lot, and yet he's still managed to eke out advantage and defend his position super effectively across the board and keep his life total somewhat healthy.
Cave-in.
We've got the Cave-in from Jake, which is going to bury his own Autumn Unicorn. Despite the fact that Autumn Unicorn was stealthed by Infiltrate, it's still vulnerable to Cave-in because Cave-in targets the site itself, and it buries all minions there. So stealth is not going to be enough to protect the Autumn Unicorn from the impending doom of a Cave-in. So the player's playing at a crazy speed here. Bit of a clip, lots going on. Managing to, I think, keep up with most of it. Sandworm takes out the Land Surveyor, comes up from being burrowed, and the Root Spider moves across underneath Adam's own Gnome Hollows to disable the 2 1-power minions that have really been chipping away at Adam's life total. Adam now common sensing, grabbing a berry and burying the Atlas Wanderers, which was the big threat that the Root Spider moving away left exposed. And now Jake is really just going to have the 1 Foot Soldier to attack across onto the River of Flame.
Do you have it?
So we'll see here what Jake's got. Jake's going to be able to attack Adam down to 6, we know that, with that Foot Soldier.
Does he have it?
And then the question's going to be, what else can Jake do? He's copying Adam's Mirror Realm with his own Mirror Realm, which has copied a second Bedrock, so Jake's now got 2 Bedrocks in play as well. Plays a King of the Realm, pumps that Foot Soldier by 1, and then attacks in for 2. Probably one of the less impactful King of the Realms, potentially, that you'll ever see. Not taking control of any of Adam's minions, not really doing much pumping. You know, 1 is probably about the minimum that you could get for having played a King of the Realm. The Sandworm trades with the Autumn Unicorn. The Root Spider moves across and disables the King of the Realm. So you can see here the incredible flexibility the Root Spider gives, particularly in a matchup like Earth v Earth, where there's probably not a lot of removal that the opposing Earth player is going to be playing that's going to deal with the Root Spider. It makes it very difficult for the opposing Earth player to really make profitable attacks, and allows your Root Spider to both take out minions that have already traversed to your side of the board and block up pathways for the further minions to make profitable attacks. So a Sinkhole comes down, also destroys that site, so we've now got a King of the Realm sitting on top of a rubble with a Root Spider underneath. Geomancer taps, draws a site. The Root Spider attacks in now for 1. So despite all the hard work that Adam's done, down to 4, not too much left in the life department. Adam has managed to slow things down significantly, but now a Stonegaze Gorgons comes down on the holy ground, presenting yet another threat that's going to spread Adam's defenses even further. So we're seeing that although Adam's done a really fantastic job of trying to limit the access that Jake has to profitable attacks, there's still just enough lanes that Jake can always open up something new on his turn. A Bedrock over there is now going to be another avenue that Adam's going to have to defend. The Cave Trolls is stopping the Stonegaze Gorgons from being able to attack profitably, because of course if the Stonegaze Gorgons attacks in, the Cave Trolls will be able to unburrow and defend, and they won't get disabled during the process of that. So the Gorgons attack, the Cave Trolls defend, we have a trade. So the Gorgon's ability only works when the opposing minion is at rest, and whilst the Cave Trolls are bursting up from underground and defending, they're not actually at rest yet. Alright, so Jake plays down his own Root Spider, and this is an interesting one. You'll often see people so reflexively use Root Spider Burrowed as a defensive minion, and not put it in a more aggressive attacking situation or zone. Although the position that Jake's played that particular Root Spider, it's actually threatening the opposing Root Spider. So whilst it looks like it more of a defensive play without allowing further attacks, in actuality he's saying, Zalem, or Adam I should say, I'm going to take out your Root Spider that's on site 9 if you don't deal with my Root Spider here. So this major explosion from Adam is going to do a little bit of damage to Jake's Geomancer, chip away down to 17, but importantly it's going to take out a bunch of those foot soldiers and that King of the Realm, which is going to free up the Root Spiders to go and do some other work. In fact, it's taken out all of Jake's minions other than that Root Spider that's underground. And now Adam's saying, look, I'm actually willing to trade my Root Spider for yours here. So whilst that was in some ways a good threat that Jake played to threaten to take out Adam's Root Spider and unlock some of those foot soldiers, there's a part of me that wonders whether playing it over on site 6 to really spread out his threats and threaten to attack site 11 next turn might have been a better play from Jake, since Adam's down here on 3. Although, you know, Jake's here sitting in the finals and I'm just sitting here commentating. But it was just another option that was available to Jake there. It's a really interesting choice. Taking out your opponent's Root Spiders in this kind of matchup, always something to consider. And I can see why Jake did that. So Adam tapping here to draw a site and playing down the Amazon Warriors that was, I think, common sense for a very, very long time ago. So now we see the tables kind of turning in the sense that Jake doesn't have anything on the board. He hasn't got any threats that are stopping, that are threatening to stop Adam from rebuilding and threatening to take Adam's life total down. But the cave in on the Amazon Warriors really coming in clutch there for Jake, because it was then going to be, once that Root Spider, if it decided to start attacking, it could have been 7 damage a turn, which is going to reduce Jake's life total pretty quickly. But instead, Jake was able to cave in the Amazon Warriors and then actually attack in with the Geomancer to put Adam down to 2. So Queen of Midland and then Scarecrow. Scarecrow, a great defensive card against Nimbus Djinn combo, but probably not going to be doing a lot against the Geomancer deck that doesn't have any airborne minions, most likely. Adam plays out Roots of Yggdrasil. Probably not something he's going to be wanting to detonate anytime soon, given the matchup. Although Adam is going to have to think about exactly where he wants to position his Geomancer, given the impending threat of Roots. He chooses to play a site out onto the rubble that is now adjacent to his Geomancer. And he's got the Sinkhole, which is now giving him an option to destroy one of Adam's sites if he wishes. At this point, though, he's just content to bury the Queen of Midland and then play out the Royal Bodyguard, which is now, with the Root Spider above ground, a couple of turns away from being disabled by that Root Spider. And this is one of the things, you know, Adam was trying to really turn the tables here and become the aggressor again after spending a lot of the game on the back foot. But moving up that Root Spider always comes at a risk, because if your opponent does have a follow-up play like this Royal Bodyguard here, it takes a while to get that Root Spider back into that defensive position. Because, of course, you've got to move underground and then you've got to move across under the enemy minion. So Adam electing to attack with the Root Spider, and then bang, here comes a Haymaker. That's one that's going to reduce life totals pretty quickly. It's a Craterize. So he Craterizes the Roots of Yggdrasil, which is going to reset the board and leave only the Bedrocks remaining. Of course, the Mirror Realms both copying Bedrocks this game, so both players for a Roots detonation landing themselves still on a reasonably high amount of mana. Jake starting off with 2, Adam starting off with 3, and of course it's Jake's turn, and he's going to use the Geomancer's ability to replace the rubble that's adjacent there with a Crossroads. So seeing a Crossroads here for Jake means that, given the amount of sites he's already seen, Adam is reasonably certain that Jake's going to be hitting Roots of Yggdrasil here, if he doesn't already have it in hand. And a Crown Prince comes down, so again, a decent beefy threat down on Jake's side, which is enough here to put Adam to death's door if Adam isn't able to deal with it.
Common sense.
With only 3 mana, Adam common senses for a berry.
Berry. But I don't.
Doesn't have sufficient mana to be able to play it this turn.
So
So he's going to have to just play out a sight if he has one, but he doesn't, so he's drawing a sight instead. So next turn, Jake knows that he is going to get that Crown Prince buried, but he's just attacking Adam straight to Death's Door and saying, yep, you want to spend your berry? I'm going to do something else here. So he's replacing Adam's dead Gnome Hollows, which is now a rubble, with a Bedrock of his own. But no play, crucially, that turn for Adam. So although Adam here is able to draw a spell every turn, because of the Geomancer's ability still play out a sight on top of adjacent rubbles, unfortunately for Jake, he didn't have a follow-up play there to present a second threat against Adam's Death Door Seer, which probably would have been lethal, given that Adam only had the 3 mana to deal with the Crown Prince and probably wouldn't have been able to deal with another threat.
Play a Ruby Core. Go ahead.
So a Ruby Core comes down for Adam and now passes the turn back to Jake. And the question is, does Jake have either a finisher here? Probably unlikely off just Earth Threshold. Or another minion that's going to threaten
back to back.
Adam's avatar and potentially 2 threats. So the village is not going to do it on its own.
Told you, there's the Angel's Egg.
But a Foot Soldier is at least something that Jake's contributing to the board here.
No, it's a minion. It's a minion that I can't play.
So
I'm not kidding. The Ruby Core.
Adam just...
Dude, you should have dispelled the Ruby Core.
Adam just had a look at the top card of the spellbook, put away an Angel's Egg, which is a very reasonable play at this point in the game. Angel's Egg's not doing a lot for you. And then Adam realizing, thinking for a moment that he didn't have the fire threshold to play out the Sandworm, but then realizing that Ruby Core that the Seer is holding is actually enough to enable him to play that Sandworm. So Sandworm comes down.
Over to you.
Underneath the Geomancer, threatening 4 damage a turn, which when Jake's at 15, you know, it seems like Jake's really far ahead, but 4 damage a turn is only 4 turns. And when Adam has so many control pieces, and Jake is always kind of 2 turns away from finishing the game because he's playing Earth and he doesn't have any direct damage spells, it still feels like it's not impossible for Adam to grind it back here. So Jake has moved 3 threats up. We've got the Root Spider, the Villager, the Foot Soldier, and the Geomancer, all adjacent to the Seer. And that Sandworm, because it was played in a more aggressive position, is not in a position to defend the Seer, so instead Adam has to use it to take out the Root Spider. So Adam uses a Rift Valley. That is a clutch Rift Valley. It moves the Seer across 1 space, which means that Adam is no longer within range of either the Foot Soldier or the Geomancer to attack next turn. So an incredible Rift Valley there, saving Adam's bacon, and then a Devil's Egg is going to start reducing Jake's life total at the end of every turn that Sandworm remains on one of his sites. Or really, the Devil's Egg remains on one of his sites, of course. The Sandworm can drop it and leave it behind. So Roots of Yggdrasil finally coming down for Jake. It's unlikely to get popped at this point. He's seen both of his sinkholes. He may have a Craterize or another way to pop the Roots, but if he's got a Craterize, he's just going to use that to finish the game. So Land Surveyor comes down, the Foot Soldier moves up, the Sandworm is of course going to be able to take out one of these threats. It's probably going to attack across and take out the Land Surveyor, but that's going to leave the Foot Soldier behind.
Look at this.
Adam having a look at the top card of the Atlas this time, finding a Pillar of Xeros, which is again not useful at this point in the game. So the Sandworm, as predicted, does move across, attack the Land Surveyor, and the Seer actually moves up and attacks. So Adam maneuvering very carefully, keeping that Seer out of harm's way, using the Sandworm to pick off the other vector that Jake's trying to attack from to free up a space for the Seer to move into. So again, Adam maneuvering expertly here, keeping that Seer on 2 turns where he really had no business being safe, keeping himself safe from the death blow. The Foot Soldier being summoned on the village here again, and now Jake using a Divine Healing to recover a little bit of life, which is a really important buffer. That's going to be a little bit demoralizing for Adam here. The Devil's Egg is still chipping away at Jake's life total. The Sandworm itself and the Seer giving him the opportunity to attack for potentially 5 a turn. So that 17 life could still disappear very quickly between the attacks and the Devil's Egg.
3 spells, 1 save. I don't want you to Earthquake kill me, so I'm not attacking.
And Adam having a think about whether he wants to attack here and deciding that he doesn't want to die to Earthquake.
What I am going to do...
which would allow Jake to rearrange the sites, moving his Seer across next to Jake's Geomancer and, of course, bearing the Sandworm. The Sandworm is, because it has burrowing, even if Jake has the Earthquake here, the Sandworm will get burrowed and still be able to move up and block. But because Jake went up to 8 mana, he's able to play the Craterize for the win. And wow,
that you would play your Midland army.
The Craterize, the biggest direct damage spell of all in the game, is the one that seals it for Jake. And Adam, despite his expert efforts to grind his way back into that game slowly, is not able to do quite enough to get himself back into a winning position. So Sorcerers, I hope you enjoyed that incredible match between Jake and Adam. We had Adam playing defense from the get-go with Jake on the play, some huge minions, Autumn Unicorns coming down, the Root Spiders, the Gnome Hollows, the Free City, all those defensive cards on Adam's side, allowing him to stabilize, the Roots of Yggdrasil allowing him to stabilize even further, potentially look to start attacking, the Devil's Egg starting to get damage down with that Sandworm, but because Adam was already at Death's Door and so vulnerable to the Death Blow, he was always having to watch out for where that Death Blow was going to come from. Jake able to rebuild after the Roots of Yggdrasil, back up to 8 mana, and finish the game with a Craterize. Hope you enjoyed that final from GenCon 2024, and now here's Drew with an interview with the winner.
Sorcerers, we're at GenCon 2024 in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am with Jake, the winner of the Constructed Tournament here at GenCon. Jake, congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. It was
Jake,
fun.
yeah, it was fun. You did amazing.
Thank you.
You did amazing. For those of you at home, Jake won the Death Dealer playmat. Congratulations on that. That's a huge accomplishment.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Super excited.
You did great. And then Jake also won an uncut sheet, an alpha uncut sheet water. Amazing, incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was not expecting that.
You were playing Geomancer?
Yes.
Okay, was this a Geomancer Roots deck?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome. And so was this your own brew? Did you find it on Curiosa?
I actually found it on Curiosa.
Oh, okay.
And then made a couple small modifications to it and just went with it.
What would you say is the most impactful modification that you made?
Not real. I mean, the deck that I saw on Curiosa was a best of 3. So
okay.
This being best of 1, I just added I think I added a Dispel.
Smart.
And I'm not actually sure. That might have been it actually. So.
Okay. That's
so
huge.
That might have been it. So nothing too major. So.
You got rid of his Ruby Core. I saw that.
Yes.
Scarecrow didn't really impact it that much. What would you say was your favorite part about the Gen Con Sorcery game so far?
I played a lot of TCGs over the last, since the 90s, and I think the sorcery community is, pretty special.
Really?
I thought it was just everybody was very chill in the tournament, and it was just a fun thing to be a part of. So glad I came. Yep.
Are you going to be here for any other events?
This is our last one here. Then we leave. We head back home tomorrow morning.
Awesome,
so we've been here since Thursday.
Oh, playing sorcery?
Yeah, did a couple drafts as well.
Sweet.
So.
How'd you do in those?
3-0 in both.
3-0. Okay.
Yep,
well,
so,
this is a great player
so,
we're talking about here.
So yeah, they were fun too. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not doing as well in the league though.
You're not. What's your record right now?
I'm 0-2 in the sealed
Oh,
deck
are you
league,
playing
so.
Geomancer?
Strangely enough, I am.
The same build?
No, unfortunately, no.
Okay. Maybe you should make some modifications and make it this deck. Okay.
Yeah.
Jake, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Congratulations again.
Thank
You are
you
an
very
amazing
much.
player. I loved watching the game. If you haven't checked out the video, check it out over on the Sorcery YouTube channel. It will be there. Jake, thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Congratulations.